Hey, welcome to today's panel discussion. My name's Eddie Pratt. I'm the Managing Director of Product Focus. So let's get into things, and I've got a few introductory slides. First of all, we've got a very simple agenda here that you can see, and I'll just show you, we've got a few icons that you might be interested in. On Livestorm at the bottom of the screen, you can maximize the presentation, and also you can show and hide the question panel to the bottom right there. This is being recorded, but at any time you can download the slides. You just go to the right-hand panel and you select Apps or More icon towards the bottom right of the screen, select Handouts and click the download. We'll be sending you a link to the recording shortly after the event concludes. So very quickly, we offer world-class training. We've done that since 2006, and we focus on product management. As you can see, we've got a range of courses, everything from the essentials to leadership training, and something in the middle for people who are a little bit more advanced. We have a great selection of world-class product management resources online, lots of free resources for you, and also for delegates, they get even deeper access to more resources of our training course. I'm pleased to say that we've got a 5-star review from Trustpilot from over 900 independent reviews from delegates of our training course. So that's enough of the plug there. So I'd like to hand you over to Steve Buck, who is our panel host today. So over to you, Steve, and I'll join back in at the end.
Okay, so I'm Mr. Question Master here. So, but first, just a couple of slides to set context before we start throwing questions at our esteemed panel. First of all, to what degree does product management benefit from, an AI assistant, an augmented AI product manager, as we call it? So for general knowledge workers on the right there, the various papers on this suggest that work quality is significantly better with AI, maybe up to 25%, and the speed of tasks is significantly improved, perhaps 43%. That's general knowledge workers. McKinsey have recently done a study on research for product managers specifically, and they're seeing an accelerated time to market of about 5%, which is significant. They're seeing improved pre-em productivity of about 40%. So that's very similar in terms of sort of speed improvement, efficiency improvement to the Noy and Zhang study on the right. So significant improvements that we can discuss and see how the panel see that. We're probably going to focus more on the right side of this slide here. So AI for product managers to boost productivity and efficiency, where most people are using a lot of the general purpose LLMs, perhaps some specific additional tools depending on the role. Of course, AI in your product makes products better. And we can also discuss that. The panel have got experience of that. I've got experience of building AI into product. But that typically requires specific data sets, a deeper understanding of the models and training for your specific domain. So, great. We're already seeing questions coming in. So so already any thoughts on DeepSeek? So yeah, we were discussing that beforehand. So yeah, DeepSeek over the last few days has had quite an impact. My personal view is it's very difficult to tell. I think it was maybe it was an overreaction from the markets, but it's difficult to know whether they've got a bunch of GPUs that they didn't want to declare, and that's why the costs look lower, or it was genuinely 8-bit level training, and it doesn't make much difference. But we'll throw that one at the panel in a bit as well. So quick intro from me, and then I'll hand over to the others to introduce themselves. So I'm a senior consultant for Product Focus. I'm also a fractional product manager these days, so I use AI in my everyday life. I've been board members of a large company, and in the last startup I was in, I was very much building AI into my products for spam detection and security detection on mobile networks. Cyril.
I've got about 20 years of experience in product, and the last 2 have seen me talk to AI chatbots more than probably a lot of humans. That's how sad my life is. I also serve as a fractional chief product officer And there as well, I'm pushing the use of AI a lot.
Okay, Till.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So my name is Till. I'm currently at Delivery Hero. I'm responsible there for our platform area. So everything from developer productivity through AI tools and data, that's basically working more in the background of the whole system. I've built AI kind of solutions, I think, since I've moved into product, also have a background in computer science and some experience in that field, and also run a small data AI consultancy on the side.
Martina.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Martina, currently working at Worldline, and also have about 2 decades of experience in different product management related positions in Europe and Asia. And now, on top of my product management duties at Worldline, I also train our colleagues to help them understand how they can benefit from all the generative AI tools.
Okay, thank you. So let's get into asking some questions. So I guess I'll start with Till here. So the opening slides talked about productivity gains. So I wonder what productivity gains you get, and I guess what tasks it helps with the most.
Yeah, I mean, I also spoke to Eddie about this just earlier, but one of the big productivity gains is turning a qualitative data into something that can be quantified. So especially when you look at survey data or things like that, using AI to then kind of group that into categories so that you can actually do a meta-analysis and derive insights faster than manually going through, I don't know, 1,500 comments in a survey and then grouping them, and which then in the end kind of fills a full week of work. While in the other case, you can actually get through it really quickly with the AI assistance.
Yeah, Martina, where do you see what sort of gains do you see, and what sort of tasks does it help you and your team with?
So when it comes to productivity, I really see 2 low-hanging fruits. We are a big company, and there's in any large organization, there's a lot of information about products, about the technologies, about the platforms and processes and everything. And it really helps to have something like AI plugin or agent to help our colleagues to find the information very quickly instead of looking through different places where it could be. So this is one side. And also for the product management, I think it's really great to have this capability of, especially with if you have some tasks that are quite time consuming and you need to generate text. So one example would be we are encouraged to talk to our customers more, and we do the customer surveys and customer interviews. And it's really helpful to just have AI based on our inputs. What is the goal of our interview? Who are our customers? It helps to generate the draft of the questions, and then we can just, with the team, we can discuss and iterate. And usually we get some questions that we would probably not think about.
Yeah. So, Till, what's your favorite AI tool, or is it now DeepSeek? What's your favorite AI tool?
I have to say DeepSeek's R1 really is very impressive. And I've used DeepSeek even a little bit before the R1, where it was kind of very similar to ChatGPT, just with a slightly different expression, but it was very, very similar. I'm also a big fan of the whole ChatGPT kind of suite of solutions, just because I've been using them for a very long time. And you also at some point kind of develop the skill of really understanding how to speak with the different AI tools out there, because the prompting
prompt engineering is quite a skill, isn't it? I think. Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, at the end, it depends a bit on the task you actually want to do. So there are some tasks where certain tools just perform a lot better than others. So like in my consultancy, we were working on classifying certain financial data from documents. And there we sometimes ran into issues with the OpenAI API because of some content filters where it wanted to give us advice on kind of working with financial data. where with other models, you just don't run into these problems and can automate things a little bit easier.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm glad to see we're getting questions from the audience. That's brilliant. So let me pick out. So I'm going to throw one at Cyril here. Have you got, where's it gone? It's just scrolling off the screen now. There was a nice one about using AI to help identify trends in large volumes of customer feedback. Cyril, I know you've been doing this, so I thought I'd throw this one at you, and you can maybe talk to that.
So yeah, the answer is absolutely yes. If you have a large quantity of customer feedback that could be multilingual and would have different themes, like for instance the comments you would get on the back of an NPS, this is really a perfect use case for an AI to first translate, group by themes, and then you can have a conversation with the AI on what were the different trends, and even start thinking about what could be the reasons behind that based on anything else you might have shared with it before. So it saves a ton of time, that and the translation is so much more accurate than you would get with Google Translate, the spreadsheet like we used to do. That works a lot better.
So there's also a big question in here from the audience: which tools are best for which tasks? That's probably a one-day. Well, I know that's a one-day workshop. I don't know whether anyone wants to at least comment on perhaps some specific tools that are good for specific tasks.
Maybe I can comment on that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
For example, if we talk about creativity or creativity-related tasks, I really prefer to use Anthropic and their Claude models, because I find their answers are a bit out of the box. So for the general fact-based questions, I'm happy to ask GPT or Gemini, but for the creative questions, I prefer to use Claude.
Yeah. Anyone else
I
want
would
to
echo
comment
that
on
as well.
Yeah. I know you like Claude. Anyone else?
And also, for example, if I need really, really large context window, Gemini has the largest one, so that's easy choice.
Yeah. I mean, the question of the tools, of course, also always has the context of your environment, because like if I look at my work environment at a large company like Delivery Hero, we have certain tools that we can use and certain tools that we cannot use. And then it's not that much about the tool, but then it gets really deep into how do I get the tool to do what I need it to do. So for example, kind of telling the model to only ask you questions, and that way kind of figure out what you actually want to do or something like that, so that you can kind of use it as a coach or something along those lines. But yeah. If I have the flexibility, I also kind of like using Claude a lot for these more creative tasks.
So interesting. There's a lot of interesting questions coming in. That's great. We're going to struggle to keep up with them all, but that's brilliant. It's scrolled off now, but someone said, what about using tools like Abacus to get answers from multiple LLMs? Do you use that? Do you try and get answers from multiple LLMs? Let's throw that one at Cyril, because I know we've got a view on this one.
So I love using multiple LLMs for different things. There's no secret about that. I have DeepSeek running on my Mac as a local. I use Gemini, Claude, and like the other panelists, I like Claude for the way it writes the text. But I have an issue with aggregators of LLMs, and it's about the number of layers that you're going to go through. And it essentially has an intermediate step, and that company will be like an intermediary. So it sees what you're asking, and it sees what is being responded. And I think just one LLM knowing what I'm thinking is enough. I don't want too many companies knowing what I'm thinking. So I prefer having a direct relationship with that company rather than having intermediates.
Okay, yeah, I see that. I mean, we're getting a lot of questions around the privacy of data. Vincent there, how do you draw the line in terms of using public models and training confidential information? Obviously, people concerned about sharing confidential information. What's I don't know, Martina or Till, have you got a view on that?
Yeah, I work for a company that is in a regulated business, and like the data privacy is very, very important for us. So we had to really, like, of course, you can tell people when you're training them, please make sure not to use the public tools because they collect your data and train the next model with it. But in the end, as you know, users prefer convenience. So really our best bet is to make our company tool that is secure, to make it as good or very good so that people are not tempted to use company data with the public tools. So this is really our approach to this task. And we have a team of people trying to implement all the new features as they come.
Yeah, Till, I know when we were chatting before the event, you had some concerns because the company wasn't letting people, wasn't paying for licenses, and therefore there was a potential leak. Do you want to share?
Yes, so that's one of the challenges. So as a company, you almost get into the position of if you're concerned about your customers' data, which of course every company has to be, then you need to offer a tool to the employees where you have the appropriate enterprise systems licenses in place where your data does not flow back and is not used for retraining and doesn't leak out, because otherwise people will just start using other tools as well. I think that's one of the realities, and I think that's also one of the challenges looking forward, because the area is moving so quickly. I mean, we all see the hype around DeepSeek that's now happening. And who knows which will be the model tomorrow that then everyone wants to use. So I think that's a challenge that we need to still find a good solution for.
Yeah, okay. So we've got a bunch of questions about, I guess, almost the business case and how many people does it save and all that sort of stuff. That, and I know, again, we had a bit of a chat about this. Is the business case about saving people, or is it about improved time to market, etc.? So, you know, to what degree do you think it is going to replace product managers versus actually do something else and maybe enhance the output? What's the thinking there? Maybe Martina, you want to comment on that one?
Yeah, sure. So with any new technology, we hear these concerns that is it going to replace? Is it going to take our job? But I think, especially in product management positions, it's just it unlocks a lot of new potential for us. So just a simple example, like when I developed a mobile app, and I had to really have a lot of back and forth discussions with the designer and the developers and so on. And now, with the artifacts feature, I can just describe what I need from the user interface, and I can iterate until I have a clickable mock-up of my application, including the design, and I don't need the developers for that. Of course, then they need to develop everything around it. That's cannot be avoided for now, but from my point of view, generative AI just enables me to do so much more, not just to be more efficient in things that I was doing before, but to do more things.
Yeah, so it's more about productivity gain than it is about FTE saving, I guess, is what you're saying there. Yeah.
So we ran a pretty big pilot about AI use for tech teams and code completion, and we also saw that it's not only about the speed at which developers work, but it's also about quality and number of bugs and so forth. Because especially in certain contexts, or if you need to work at a certain speed, it just helps you to be a little bit more thorough on things. And I see it the same with product managers. I don't see it replacing a product manager. I see it as an enhancement of the things that we do.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the risks. I mean, Simon was asking, how do you verify and control for quality, for instance? But what are the risks, and anyone got an example where it's gone wrong and are learning from that?
I mean, I can tell a story. We basically used we tried out AI for automatic image generation in some cases for menu items, and that's something where you need to be very careful, because descriptions can just sometimes be very misleading, and it tended to also generate some images that didn't really fit the description. So that's one of those things where it kind of seems like an obvious step forward to enhance content. And then there are some limits to it where you then need to have like a second layer of manual control and manual review again.
You've got to check the output. Martina, there was a security question I think you wanted to comment on. I've lost it now.
I think we already addressed that, but yes, like for me, from the risk of AI, security and is even more important than the hallucinations and biases, because those we can always check for, but when it comes to security, it's just difficult for the normal user to identify where are the risks.
Yeah. So what's your view on how you mitigate risks, hallucination, bias, etc.? What's your view on how we try and reduce those risks?
I think it's always good to be a little bit paranoid about what might be made up as a hallucination. So what I tend to do is to ask the same question to multiple AIs. So I will ask Chat O1. I would then go to Claude, a bit of Perplexity maybe, but I will generally not take just one answer. It's like when you want a second professional opinion, and then because it's very unlikely that two will hallucinate in the same way, so it gives you an additional level of security there.
Yeah, and hallucination rates are going down if you do good prompting. I think they're sort of 1 or 2% now, whereas they used to be up at about 8% or whatever, didn't they? And,
I would also say that for me, hallucination is not like a 100% bug. For me, it's also a feature, because if you want creative outputs, that's basically hallucination in a way. So I don't think it will be possible to, based on how these models are, or current models are trained, I think it's going to be very difficult to 100% remove the hallucinations.
Okay. So we've got a question from Nick. So a newbie, let's try a newbie question in AI. He's got to create a vision and a roadmap for his product. Can AI help him? Cyril, let's throw that one at you, shall we?
Yeah, this is one I've done quite scarily with execs, where I thought I was joining the meeting just as support, to a product director there. And 2 minutes into the meeting, they said, "All right, Cyril, over to you. How do we create a vision for this product?" I thought, okay, let's think quickly. And, being very transparent, you just open the chat and say, okay, let's first start from the company vision. Because the company vision the product vision will flow from the company vision. So start with that. Then let's talk about how the vision will make the world a better place. So all the things that will be true. And then what I tend to do is to ask for five options. Give me 5, ambitious product visions that match, the company vision or in line with the company vision, but as well or embodying the what we're trying to do with this. And then I pick and mix the little bits of sentences to assemble one that works really well. And then in the example I gave earlier, that worked exceptionally well. A workshop that would have normally been 3 hours was wrapped up in 45. So it worked really well.
Okay. Hector asked a question, what AI-driven tools or strategies have you seen successfully enhance product team collaboration, decision-making, and overall productivity? Earlier in the preparation of this, we were talking about collaboration and how how AI tools can help with collaboration and how you can share the sort of tools that are working well. I know, Martina, you've looked at how you get your teams to collaborate and how do you encourage them to use AI tools. What's your view on tools to help collaboration?
Mm-hmm. So in our trainings in our company, we quickly realized that people are not motivated by the theory and how cool these tools are, but by the use cases. And what really helped that we really started focusing in training on specific use cases, and then that opens minds of people. And then we have separate workshops with specific teams where they can talk about their tasks, and together we find things that might be interesting and useful for them. So it's really about giving people first the basic knowledge and just understanding what is possible. But then we still need to put people together in the same, at least online meeting, and then have them work together on those things that are important for them.
Cool. We're trying to answer your questions in line as well, and we'll do our best to answer as many as we can. I don't know whether we'll be able to answer them after the event if you keep posting them. I think we'll try and do that if we can. But I'm seeing here one from John says, has anyone been using LLMs to write prompts? And I know probably all of you have been using AI to write prompts, because obviously writing a good prompt reduces hallucinations, gets you a better answer, etc. So you all nodded. So anyone want to comment on using AI for writing prompts?
I have a small funny story about this. So our colleague was trying to generate some pictures for his presentation, and basically the AI would tell him like, this is not appropriate, even though there was nothing. So he asked me like, what can I do? Like, there's nothing wrong with this prompt. Like, I don't see anything wrong. So I was like, yeah, let's just ask our LLM, or let's just ask ChatGPT to rewrite that prompt so that it will generate your picture. And it really worked.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So Martina, how do you encourage your teams to take up the AI tools? Was that difficult, or was that a straightforward thing to do? They just wanted to, and it was just about enabling them.
No, we are large organization, and we have like different types of people. So some were really excited and just started experimenting right away. But some are more difficult to persuade. And as I mentioned, like at the beginning, we started with trainings focused on both the theoretical part and practical, but we quickly realized that the practical part is more important. So now really our trainings are focused on use cases. And we could see immediately uptick in terms of the number of users using our tools, and also how many conversations they had with the LLMs. And also what I recommend to people always is that when they have the knowledge now, they just need to book like 1 hour every week in their calendar to really find time to look at their agenda for that week and what they need to accomplish, and think about like, this is the type of task where I could use AI and experiment with it. So that's something that I've seen. I got comments from people that, this really worked, because otherwise I would just forget about it.
So the webinars, the panels around whether the AI is friend, foe, or frenemy. So let's see where it might be a bit of an enemy. We talked about risks a little bit. What about just the volume of content you can easily generate? Is that an issue? It can quickly write a whole bunch of user stories, but then you've got to spend your time checking it. So Till, I don't know what your experience is there, whether it's just too much data can be generated.
Yeah, I think that is a challenge, and as with any tool, you need to use it in a responsible fashion. So I think that in my experience, just auto-generating a lot of content does not really help you, because the goal is actually to reduce the content to something that's abstract enough and can be used. So at least in my experience, for auto-generating user stories, yes, you can do that, but you still need the specificity of what exactly you need to solve. So I don't really see that as a big productivity gain at the end of the day.
Yeah. Okay. So an interesting question. So at what point do you trust AI over human judgment, if ever? That's a challenging question. So you're all grilling on that one. Let's throw that one at Cyril. At what point do you trust the AI over the human? I know you have a lot of conversations with AI. That's why I picked on you, because you chat to it in the car and all sorts of stuff.
So yeah, just to share with the others, what I tend to do is when I'm trying to find a solution to something or there's something bugging me, I just start the advanced voice mode in chat GPT and then have a conversation on something. And I often find that it's much better than just a sounding board. It actually helps, and you can challenge it. You know, this is stupid. I don't believe that, and you know, convince me or give me additional arguments. It's a genuine, quite often very engaging conversation. So how much do I trust it though? How much do I tend to trust it more than a lot of humans, I know, to be honest, because one thing which is currently an advantage of AI is that they have no intent. Might change later, but you know, right now they're not trying to take over the world; they're just trying to be helpful. Whereas, you know, some colleagues sometimes not so much. They may have hidden agendas, you know, in some organizations. So, you know, it tends to be a higher level of trust, as long as, you know, multiple AIs tend to go in the same direction, as in it's more of a collective trust rather than individual tool trust.
So Cyril,
Yeah,
now we have a lot of
please,
companies introducing the possibility to interact with your screen and with your applications in your computer. Would you risk doing that now that you said you trust AI?
Yeah, Gemini does that already. Some version of Gemini, I experimented with it a little bit, and the desktop app of OpenAI does it too. I do actually. You know, it's like the balance of risk and gains. I'm conscious of the risks that I'm going through. But everything you do in business is a balance of risk versus benefit or value. And on balance, for me, it is so vastly positive that you know, once you've put the right safeguards around, it's fine. But having, you know, collaborating on a document, it's great.
Yeah, actually, there's a couple of questions here around kind of the risk that overusing AI will reduce innovation. So Alain, hello, hi. You say AI will give you a shortcut to the destination, but sometimes the innovation comes on the journey. I'm paraphrasing. And someone else earlier asked a question that I saw around you're getting an average answer from AI, and therefore you're maybe going to restrict innovation and limit innovation. Anyone want to jump on that one and comment on whether you're concerned about we're going to get limited innovation because everyone's using the same tools, because we're coming up with the average answer, or simply because we're doing it much quicker and we're not sort of exploring the space?
I would like to tackle the second part of the question that you asked, and that was more about getting the average answer from LLM. And it's true, if you ask a general question, then you might get the average answer. But there's a way to go around it with proper prompting. So, for example, I heard a very, very nice way to visualize this, that when you ask, let's say, ChatGPT or whichever model to generate code, it will generate some code. But if you ask it to generate secure code, it actually gives you not just safer code, but also better quality code, because the data that it was trained on, if it was a secure code, usually it was written by more senior, more experienced developers, and the quality of code is better. So yes, the average questions get average answers, but if you specify more, then you can get like very exceptional answers as well.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, my personal experience is if it stops you going and talking to customers and analyzing the market, then yes, you will all get the same answer if you just search the web and try and innovate that way. There's still the basic talking to customers, understanding the market, and then plugging that into something that helps you filter, you know, the interesting bits of information is still very applicable.
If I can add one thing to that, Steve,
Yeah,
it's
please.
the fact that like Martina was saying, if you have a basic prompt, you're probably going to get a very generic answer. So this is where, as the user, you can challenge it a little bit harder. Try to combine, for instance, the best practice of one industry with another. Do some lateral benchmarking, for instance. Trying to find the more you challenge it, the better the answers that you will get. I think. I don't think there is a risk with reducing the rate of innovation. But you have to use it in the right way.
Yeah, maybe I can add on to that as well. So the way that I kind of think about these LLMs as a mechanism to help me is almost as having a very junior kind of colleague that knows everything, but kind of does not really have the context of the world around them yet, or how things are connected. And so you need to use the same skills that you use with a junior employee. So you ask them questions, you challenge their work, and then kind of through this dialogue and back and forth, you kind of develop new ideas, and that's how the innovation actually then happens. It's not innovation in the sense of you ask an LLM, innovate for me, but it still is this kind of interaction with it that brings about the innovation.
Sure. Okay. So, I mean, what's the panel's top tips for using AI? What's your, top two things to think about when you're using AI tools? Martina, what are your top tips?
So for me, it starts more with why, not how. So yeah, of course, I bet the other participants will have some great tips about prompting and so on. But for me, it's really to understand like what are the types of tasks where it's useful and what are not. So it's really about experimenting and trying to find out like what's the why behind this, where it can help. And then people have more motivation to dig into the how.
Cyril, your top tips?
Context is always going to be a big part of the quality of it's going to influence the quality of the answer. So don't hesitate to give more context. Just sometimes documents that provide the context. If you're going to work on your product strategy, then the company strategy, the public document that's that everybody can download. Well, that will give you some useful context that the AI will be able to use. And the other thing I would say is that there's a world beyond the chat interface as well. And where I use AI a lot, and this is probably where I've seen the biggest gains as well, is in the automation of summarizing calls. So transcription of a call into text, summarizing, creating various extensive, it's not just a summary in bullet points, but a fairly long document that contains no repetition, and that allows me to get back into the context of any conversation I had with anyone in the last 2 years, as if the conversation happened just yesterday. And that I find for me is extremely helpful.
Okay, Till, any top tips you want to share there?
Well, I think the part about context is really important, and also the question, how do you get the context into the LLM in that sense? What's the most efficient way to do that? So ideally uploading documents, and then also asking the LLM in that case to provide you with questions of context that is needed to actually move forward in a good direction. So in that sense, again, it's like treating it like a human counterpart in that case. If you would want somebody, I would also not approach a human and ask them, write me a strategy for the area. I would say, well, this is the company, this is all that you need to know. And then you would even like refine it. And that's the other thing, especially if you're in the world of the chat interfaces. It is a chat, so challenge the answer, give more context if you feel something goes in the wrong direction, and interact with it. And that, in my opinion, brings about the best results. And sometimes also the other tip, just once you've reached a certain level in the conversation, you sometimes get this impression that the AI model is kind of caught in a loop. Just start a new chat. And starting new chats quite frequently can also then help to kind of clear the context again once certain things have been synthesized.
Yeah, cool. Question from John here. So talking about rapid development is about creating a hypothesis, developing a prototype, and then testing that hypothesis. Have any of you used AI for rapid prototyping? I think that's an interesting area. I don't know whether any of you have used AI for rapid prototyping. Anyone done anything there?
So for me, the artifacts feature that was introduced by Anthropic for Claude, but now it works with the other LLMs as well, is just amazing. Really taking the description of the problem or the thing that I want to build, and then having just on a next window next to it, seeing how Claude writes the code, and then how it generates the preview of the small application or whatever it's the presentation or like some business intelligence report based on the data that I provided. It's really amazing. And there it's very, very easy to like iterate and get, I don't know, whether it's the different design or different features included there. It's really great for that.
So you have to conclude now because we're going to have to wrap up. Is AI a friend, a foe, or frenemy? So let's, having discussed it, let's start with Till. Is it a friend? Is it a foe? Is it a frenemy?
Yeah, I see it as a friend. So yeah, I know there are some risks, but overall, I'm very positive on the whole technology. I see it like a lot of other tools that we're also using in our day-to-day, and I don't see it as an enemy in one way. Yeah, at all, basically.
Martina, is it your friend too?
Yes, I think it was obvious from my answers, but yes, as I like the reference that Phil made about it being a like junior colleague, or I tend to see it as an intern. Of course, the interns don't have skin in the game, so I have to verify everything that it produces, but it's a great help, great assistance.
Yeah. In our course, we call it an intern with an IQ of 200 who sometimes lies to please the boss. So, and Cyril, apart from being your friend chatting when you're driving on the, you know, in the car and what have you, do you see it as a friend, a foe, or a frenemy?
So definitely not as a foe. I mean, I'd love to propose, you know, an opposing view to my other two panelists, or just way too long. It's just so useful, so helpful. I can't really see that as even a frenemy, but it's not a friend that would get the keys to my house, for instance, right? So you still need to keep a little bit of distance. This is cool, but there are so many ways this could go so wrong that you still need to exercise a little judgment before you engage into any kind of you know, setting. I think as we evolve into agents, not us, but as AI evolves into agents that start taking autonomous tasks on our desktop on our behalf, like responding to our emails, and this will be a different story then, I think.
Yeah, agents maybe, but yeah. Okay, well, we'll have to finish there. We'll try and do our best to answer as many of the questions. There's lots still out there we weren't able to discuss. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I'll let Eddie wrap up.
Perfect. Well, AI is my best friend, not just a friend, but a really good friend. So listen, thank you everyone so much. You've done a fantastic job. Thanks to the audience for the great set of questions. And I think, you know, I'd learned a lot there, and just seeing what's on everybody's mind is really helpful for me, from market research as well, to understand what product managers are doing and what they need. So thank you very much, everyone. It's very kind to give us your time there. So just before we go, one last thing, we have been developing a course on AI-powered product management, and this is about the productivity and effectiveness of product managers. And so it's about understanding the basics of AI, effectively interacting with it, with the prompts, the best prompts, how to structure them, using it at the right point in the product management life cycle, and also importantly, understanding and mitigating a lot of the risks and traps that you've got as a product manager there. What do you need to look out for when you're using it, or perhaps even when you're integrating it into your product? So we've got a next public course on the 29th of April in London. We'd love to have people along there. I think it's going to be a great learning journey. And if you go to our website or click in the link when you download the PDF, you can go straight to the booking page. So I won't say anything else apart from thank you very much. Thanks to the panelists, thanks to the people asking questions, and hope you have a fantastic day, and hope to see you on our training courses. Thank you very much now. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Goodbye.